What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? RGR Football here. We're here at training camp. Unfortunately, it was a short practice today. We do have some takeaways. I finally got to meet Dan, which is
forever.
great. So what do you think about practice today?
There's a few things that we saw today. It was, like you said, it wasn't a huge practice. There wasn't any contact. There was no real pads on. It was a slower day. There was some rain out earlier today, so they probably tried to get something small in. But there was the biggest takeaway for me outside of, I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a very good player. He's got really good natural hands. He plays the part of the pass catching back, which is what we've seen. He's going to be the kick returner. I'm almost certain of that. Ronald Jones is the 4. He's the 4 right now. I think that's pretty clear. And that's something that I didn't expect coming in just to today. He almost got no run with the 1. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. They signed him in the offseason, gave him a little bit of money, and he's practicing with the 3rd, 4th string.
Yeah.
But to back up your comment about Pacheco, he looked so smooth catching the ball. He was a hands receiver. It's not clunky at all. Yep. And there's a lot of truth to what Coach Reed was saying about Pacheco having a chance to catch some passes for this offense. He looks like the real deal. And we also had like some conversations about punt returns.
Yep.
So they were doing punt return drills today, and a lot of guys were getting involved, and we had a little disagreement on who we thought should be catching punts this season for the Chiefs. So I still like McCole Hardman catching the punts and doing the punt returning, but Dan disagreed.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Trent McDuffie. I think that they tried Sky Moore out there a little bit too. He doesn't look the most comfortable. He really doesn't. If it goes over his head, he starts to freak out a little bit. So I think that what we're seeing right now, the most natural person that they're currently really trying to get those funnels, those practice catches to, is Trent McDuffie. It really feels like getting 2 rookies in that position. They don't want McCole Hardman taking on the punt returns this season. He's had some inconsistencies in his career, some drops, some fumbles here and there. So I think they're trying to get somebody else in that spot. I think it's going to be Trent McDuffie.
Yeah, and I agree that McDuffie did look far more comfortable catching punts than did Sky Moore. Sky Moore had a few cases out there where the ball got over his head or he couldn't judge it right. It was a little short. Obviously, he'll get that sorted out if he's catching punts by the time the season starts. But I feel that as far as punt returning goes, and this is where Dan and I mainly disagreed, where we mainly disagreed, is that I feel like the Chiefs have enough depth at wide receiver that if, God forbid, McCole Hardman does get hurt, they have guys who can step up and fill that role. But if McDuffie gets hurt, I'm not as confident in the Chiefs secondary having enough people to fill that void. So it's a numbers game. And what you'll probably see is a mixture of the two. You'll see McCole Hardman returning punts and then McDuffie returning punts.
Yeah, speaking of wide receiver, we talked a little bit about McCole Hardman there. I think it's becoming more of a common theme that Justin Watson has that 5 spot as of now. Before any preseason games, before reps on the field against a different team coming, right now I think he has the 5 spot. He was out with the first team multiple times. They're getting in on some deep routes down the field multiple times. He did drop a bomb from Mahomes today, which he probably should have caught. Let's be honest. He did drop it in the bucket there just down the field, but he's probably got a string of holes on that 5th spot right now.
Yeah, they were really looking at Watson down the field today. Like you said, there was a slight overthrow, but it should have been caught by Watson. Mahomes looked good today, as he always does. There were a few overthrows, but you're going to have that when you're throwing the ball down the field half the time. I also really liked how Pacheco looked in the passing game. I thought that was a good look. And overall, I wish it was a longer practice. Wish we could have seen them with their pads on, because that makes a night and day difference, especially in the run drills that they were working on. But other than that, I don't have too many more takeaways from camp. What about you, Dan?
Now, just the one more thing about Frank Clark. I talked a little bit about Twitter. He looks so much different than he has in the past. He looks happy. Like, that's one thing I don't think we could really ever see about Frank Clark. He looks like he's comfortable with himself, his life. He looks a bit more explosive. I know you can't take much away from, as they clear out some things here, which I talk over, you can't really take much away from a non-contact practice, but that first step explosion from him, it's there. He looks a bit quicker off the snap, and that's what you're looking for from a Frank Clark who's trying to maybe get something out of this last year, maybe more in Kansas City. We know that he wants to stay here. These big defensive ends they brought in, him, Karlaftis, Dunlap, like these guys are going to play quite a bit this season, but I think that Frank could have a much better year this year because he looks, like I said, happy, healthy, and looks in way better shape than he has in Kansas City.
Yeah, and Carlos Dunlap is a specimen.
Dude, he's so big.
That's a large man, like a very large man.
Yeah, it's hard to really, like I said, it's hard to take away from anything from defense. There was a couple picks today from Dustin Crum and Shane Buechele. Not really anything we're looking for. again, I really wish that this would have been a nice complete practice so we can get some takeaways on defense, but without that, I think that the defensive guys, just Joshua Williams, Trent McDuffie, the guys in the back end look explosive, they look fast, they look like they're understanding the defense a bit. So that's what I'm looking forward to this weekend on Saturday, the first preseason game against the Chicago Bears. I want to see that defense and how it looks. That's probably what I'm looking forward to the most. Who's going to be out there starting? And those guys that I think it's going to be Joshua Williams, and it's going to be Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed are going to be your 3 stars, and that's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and both Gay and Bolton looked good in pass defense too. Gay had a block at the line, and then Bolton was able to tip away a pass. So pass defense looked pretty good today. But I would say the best play from camp today was Michelle's throw to Cornell Powell. It was a beautiful, dropped it right in the bucket.
Right over Joshua Williams. I didn't expect Bouchel to put it down the sideline right over Williams and just have Cornell go up and get it. So that was a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, Cornell's my guy. Bouchel looks pretty good. I think he's going to be, if they keep 3 quarterbacks this year, he's going to make a push for that spot. I think that they had that idea last year by protecting him on the practice squad, and that looks to be the guy that they're trying to supplant Chad Henne with at some point, whether it's next year or the year after that. It looks like it's going to be Shane Bouchel. Lots of special type of downfield in 50-50 situations. I think he could be a lot of fun to watch. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys with one last thing. My prediction, one of the roster spots, I talked about Justin Watson. Right now, Doris Fountain didn't practice today. He was also in the injury tent. Jody Fortson, I think he's going to be back on the field before the second preseason game. I think Jody Fortson plays in that second preseason game, and I think he has an absolutely special day in that preseason game. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and we saw Jody running around on the field.
Yeah.
As far as predictions go for me, I think it's more or less a question of whether or not the Chiefs are going to keep 2 or 3 quarterbacks on this roster. I don't think they're going to be able to hide Michelle again. Yeah. So I think they're going to keep 3, and I think they're going to have Mahomes, Henne, and Bichelle all on the team. They'll have to find a roster spot somewhere else. But that's all I've got. What about you?
It should be lots of fun, guys. Make sure you hit that like, hit the bell, and the sub notification for everything we do here. We appreciate you guys' support as always, and we hope to see you guys next time.
All right, thanks. See ya.